I put the two nuts back on with the red and the blue Loctite. And this is one thing I want to stress for anyone that's starting to work on these little bikes, is to keep your parts clean. This is the rear clutch cover. It's ventilated. I got it used. But when you take this off and you go to clean it, there's a few things you want to look for. And it's not on the outside, mainly it's on the inside. Remember that any kind of grease or any kind of oil on your belts and your pulleys is verboten. That means fucking don't do it in either German or Austrian or one of those languages. Anyway, and I kind of feel like a little bit of comedy tonight, so I'm going to just say it how I feel it. On the inside here, sometimes if you have grease or oil, you'll see it right around in here. And there's a difference between grease and your belt. Your belt slowly disintegrates into a fine rubber, like a sand, you know, like sawdust. And you can see that that is the belt. That is not greasy at all. But if you see grease right along this area here, and what you can also see right here is this is a rub mark. Okay, the belt is rubbing right there, which means that either the belt is stretched or that is a high spot in the casting. So you can actually take a small Dremel and take that down if you'd like. But usually I look for any kind of excess grease or anything that's in this area all the way around here on the back, which there's not much here. So I'm doing okay. But if there was too much, you could have a bad seal, a bad leak on your crankshaft seal, leaks into the engine, or another seal. On our front variator cover here, you can tell where the belt rides. Okay, you see this black line right here? This black line right here is where the belt rides. What I mean is it's not rubbing on your it's not rubbing at all, but it's throwing off a little bit of belt and a little bit of grease. That is a little normal because I use a little bit of grease in the Kickstarter area right here. I've had massive amounts of people ask me how to rebuild these Kickstarters, and we're doing a little maintenance on the deal, so maybe I can talk about it for a minute. This is called a worm gear, and it is on a shaft which is splined, a worm spline like this. I'd have to take it off to show you. This is the part that fails on almost all problems when you have a Kickstarter that does not work, or when you kick the Kickstarter down and it stays down, or you start to kick it down and you hear this grinding sound and then it'll stay down. What the problem is that over so much time with this hardened steel splined half moon shaped gear, what it does is it starts chewing up the hardened steel on the spline shaft, and it puts little chips in it. Once you have a little tiny chip in this, it's no good. You got to throw it away, because the more you kickstart it down, the bigger the chip gets. These gears right here, I forget what it's a starter gear. What happens is when you kick down on your Kickstarter right here, this gear, as it's sitting in the case, as you can see it sitting in the case, what it does is this gear, follow my finger, it will come out farther, and these little tiny edges right here will catch the little slots in your drive face, and they turn the drive face, or they turn it, and that turns the whole crank, and then that starts your bike. Now, as soon as this turns your drive face and your kickstand comes back to normal, what the worm gear right here, what it does, damn it, it's hard to do this with one hand. It sinks back into where it is. And so your starter is right here, or I mean your crankshaft gear is right here, and this comes up to meet it, and then it pops back down after you let go of the, it's like a Bendix gear in your car, if you know what that is. So what I suggest you do is, if you have a Honda bike and you have a bad Kickstarter, buy 2 of these gears, okay? It's just held in place by this little pin and a little bit of grease. The C-clamp you can see right around here. Buy 2 of them, because when one goes out, you'll have a spare. You won't have to reorder. If you have a Chinese bike, buy 3 or 4 of them, because I don't know what kind of metal they use, but sometimes they have a problem with hardened steel. So get an old toothbrush. That's tip of the day. And get some degreaser. Clean this up. Don't get too much water in here. The reason that I clean everything up is very simple. It's because once I go to tear this down again, and if I notice excess grease or excess fluid where it's not supposed to be, I know that I've got another problem that has popped up, and I've got to fix. So I'm going to clean these up, and then we'll take another video of it.